concept with the Community Development Block Grant Program was to provide a block of funds and then allow the local community to take those funds and spend it on a wider variety of possible uses. And so we set about several months in advance of actually receiving the grant money to decide how it is that that anticipated pool of funds will be used to make improvements and fund activities in our community.
Well, when Congress passed the Act in 1974, they took and consolidated a bunch of single-purpose programs and said, let's give the money to the cities and let the cities decide how to spend it because they live where the services and needs are. Let them decide, and then we will go ahead and fund them, provided they meet one of three national objectives. The first one would be that they benefit low and moderate income people. The second one would be that they eliminate slum and blighting conditions. And the third one would be they meet an urgent need, such as recovery from a flood or a tornado, something like that. Locally, the way it works is each year the staff from the Community and Economic Development Department work with our Citizens Advisory Committee to decide what types of projects or goals need to be met in the city.
Because there's so many of them.
Citizens Advisory Committee, commonly called the CAC, is a 15-member group appointed by the City Council and the Mayor. Each of our 10 aldermen has one appointee and the Mayor has 5. They're just citizens. It's an unpaid position, and they serve to assist the Council and the Mayor in reviewing applications and ultimately making recommendations for the allocation of funds. I think the feeling that every member of that committee has is their desire to do something to help the betterment of the less fortunate in our community. I see that in CAC members, I see it in city staff, and I see it in the council.
One of our longtime partners, United Neighbors, has done wonderful things in our neighborhoods. They do a Dream Home Buyer program that gets first-time home buyers into a house that they probably never would have had an opportunity ever to afford.
I never knew about all the things that went into buying a house until I went through the program. Dream and FMHA loaned me the down payment for it. Well, in the Dream classes, they take you through what the realtor would, which is mortgage payments and how they're set up. They bring in a financial person to show you how things are done, you know, from the paperwork to the down payment.
I believe it is important that we recognize we're not just dealing with broad community needs in an abstract fashion, but we're also impacting the lives of individuals and families. And we want to realize that we are helping them dealing with their challenges of living in our community.
Project Renewal has been a stable presence in the neighborhood. We've been here now since 1974. All of our kids live pretty much in our neighborhood within walking distance. And they're kids who may not have the opportunity to be in other things, whether it's after-school activities or extracurricular classes or things at other organizations. We're easily accessible because everything we do for them is free, and we're in their neighborhood. Some of them are, you know, watching out for themselves and taking care of themselves, and we're something they can do on their own and be safe. Well, every day, first thing when they get here, they get a treat if they went to school, and they're always supposed to wait to be offered or asked before they get that. If they have homework, we ask them if they'd like help with that or encourage them to do that. That's the first thing. And then when that's done, they have a choice of video games, computer games, arts and crafts, board games.
We have a number of agencies that have received community development block grant funds over the years. There's one that comes to mind that is a national award winner. It's called Discovery Junction. It's done by the Friendly House and the Davenport Community School District. It's an after-school education and recreation program.
Other categories would be what the federal government defines as public services, or most often we would talk about them as social service agencies. So agencies providing services to particular categories of needs, such as the elderly with CASI.
Seniors depend on KSI for such things as help with their utility bills, because if they didn't have their bills paid for, they might end up having to leave their homes, have their utilities shut off. They depend on them for meals. They wouldn't have good nutrition, you know, that type of thing, if they didn't have the meals or the meal site to come to. Either way, whether it's home delivered or at the meal site.
I've been coming for an awful long time. I think about 10 or 11 years, and it's always some kind of meat or potatoes and a vegetable and a fruit and a cookie or dessert of some kind.
They start serving meals at 11:30, and then they eat until 12. I go from table to table, or I'll go from person to person, say, well, how was your meal today? What did you think of today? And they say, well, it's just fine. If this place wasn't here, I don't know what people would have done. That's all I can say about it. I mean, it's a good place. People are good to you.
Low and moderate income persons oftentimes have the greatest need, or they have needs that their income means that they're not able to address themselves. So there are a number of agencies that are involved in housing, notably the John Lewis Coffee Shop and Humility of Mary Housing.
Actually, the program's been wonderful. We have a home, which when you don't have a home, it's really tough. You don't have an address to give somebody to send your mail to. And you don't have a phone where they can call you to reach you for a job or for benefits if you need them. You don't have friends, you don't have neighbors. You just pretty much are fighting for your life and the things that you do have.
I guess what I like best about my job is seeing how people change and grow once they come into the program, and once they have their basic needs met as far as housing, which is a big worry for you if a person doesn't have a place to live, doesn't know from one night to the next where they're going to be staying. They can't really focus on anything else.
Well, I think we would be a far less prosperous community had we not had CDBG money. There are a number of things that have occurred here that would not have been possible without CDBG, I believe. A number of homes over the years have been fixed up for people so they can continue to live in a safe, decent environment. A number of jobs have been created for people who might not otherwise have the opportunity to work if it were not for CDBG money provided to the businesses.
I believe it's quite remarkable that when we sometimes wonder what it is that the federal government is doing for us or that local government is doing for us, we have had this program for actually decades, and we'll hope to have it for many years to come. Certainly it's a better community because of that federal assistance and assistance where we in the local community have been able to make the decisions as to how that money should be used.
CDBG funding has really helped us out. One of the hardest things to get is funding for staff, and that's what CDBG has been able to provide for us.
I think it's a great feeling when we see a child care service being given to someone that affords that mother or father the opportunity to go to work knowing that their children are being safely taken care of.
I see a lot of housing that has been rehabbed. I see neighborhoods, older neighborhoods, areas where people have gotten together and decided this is what they're going to do.